Hey guys, Collin Chi, certified nutritional consultant. Gonna do a little numerology talk on number 7. Okay, so if you're life path 7, or if you are a destiny number 7, or if you're a day number 7, or whatever prominent number 7 is in your chart, this should give you a general overview of number 7. So there's a lot to it. Numerology is great stuff. Number 7. Okay, a number 7 is very rigid and stable and sharp as a number. Look at the physicality of the number. It's also on the physical plane. And so numbers that are sharp lines and straight lines are more stable, they're more rigid. Number 7 is a receiving and absorbing number. Okay, in that corner there, information is coming in and absorbing into that corner. You know, they're very much researchers and searchers for answers, seekers of answers. They are all about being alone, space and privacy in order to think and in order to analyze and in order to philosophize. They're the philosophers. They're the most spiritual number. This was Pythagoras' favorite number, and in his school, his students would actually take their vows on the 7th day of the month, I believe, and something having to do with number 7. And if you are a number 7 in ancient times, you were often pulled out to go into the priesthood and study as a priest, because number 7 is very religious. They're mystical. They're metaphysical. They are philosophical, psychological. They're all about all that kind of occult, religious, deeper kind of stuff. Number 7 is ruled by Neptune, which is associated with Pisces. Now, Neptune is all about illusion, delusion, dreams, escapism, mystery, drugs. So these people have a tendency to escape into drugs. These people also suffer a lot. It's all about suffering and sacrifice, and you need to embrace suffering and sacrifice for the wisdom you will gain from it if you're a number 7. But discern when you should sacrifice. Don't be overly sacrificial either. But Pisces is known as a more sacrificial type sign. That's related to number 7. Number 7 is, Jesus was a number 7. Picasso was a number 7. Stephen Hawking was a number 7. So you can either be into advanced degrees in higher education, or you can be in the clergy, or you could be even a scientist, a physicist like Stephen Hawking, or you could be very, very creative. Usually you guys have decent business ideas, but not the greatest business application ability. Sometimes you're a poor judge of characters, but yet you're also intuitive. So that could go either way, I think. You're very sensitive. You're rebellious. You don't want to take advice. You only want to give advice. You can sometimes be a little bit rigid, and a little bit too opinionated almost. But you're very rebellious. You wouldn't do well to be under the authority of some serious boss. You have to be your own boss. You need to go your own path in your life. So number 7, you can be a healer, a teacher. Once you've gained all this knowledge through research and analyzing and studying, and being alone and thinking and studying and coming up with practical solutions to philosophical dilemmas, you can teach those at some point when you've gained enough of that. But you crave a lot of experience, and you are on the physical, practical doing plane. So hopefully you will do something physical and practical with all that spiritual stuff you've researched and gained and learned, and been into. So you're often very clever with your hands, and you're skilled with your hands. You could be a butcher, you could be a carpenter, you could be a surgeon. Number 7 is also associated with compassion. So you could be in the medical field in that way, maybe. But compassion is something I think you guys don't develop right away. That takes time, I think, to develop for you guys. Because sometimes you don't understand the needs of others that well, because you're so caught up in that Neptunian, illusion, kind of in your own world kind of place, and you're alone a lot, so you don't have great objective, you're not that objective. You're very idealistic, you're very romantic, and so there's that. Number seven, that word starts with an S. That's the number one. I see inherently in number seven, number one, and it kind of looks like a number one almost, it's sort of. Number one is kind of aggression, ambition, leadership, pioneering, initiating, energy, willpower, self, ego, independent. So number sevens are independent. But, they can be committed if they are committed. They can be loyal to their spouse or whatever. But sometimes these people will be very highly misunderstood because they're alone a lot, and because, they only call you maybe when they need something, or, you might think they're a bad person because of it. But really, they're not a social person, and they don't like being social. That's just how it is. So, just honor them for their great, intuitive answers and deep questions, and their analytical mind that's always philosophizing. Those are great qualities. 7-11. There's 7 days of the week. Some people link number 7 to female energy because there's 4 weeks consisting of 7 days in the cycle of the moon, and Cancer is the moon. That's female, but more than anything, I think it's a male energy. But that's, some people think it's somewhat female. Most people will tell you, though, odd numbers are male, even numbers are female. So it's an odd number. I would say it's male primarily. And I find a lot of the 7s I talk to are male or coming off with male energy, even if they're female. Even in their chart, it's showing male energy. It's Neptune. 7-11. What else is there? 7? 7 days of the week. 7. God created the earth in 6 days and rested on the 7th day. So 7 can be associated with rest and reflection, reflecting and planning on where you're going to go in the future, and taking time alone and just resting. I think you guys need to embrace the fact. And if you're the type of person that's out there too much because you're just wanting to distract yourself from your own real self, and you're getting into that escapist attitude, you need to face yourself a little more and take some time alone, because you're a number 7, and that's going to help you. Your destiny is your mind. To develop your mind, develop the higher mind, develop divine wisdom, divine love. It's the most sacred, most spiritual number, and your destiny is your mind. So be careful with being too harsh, critical, judgmental. Because you're so spiritual, you're going to be on a whole nother level than most of the people out there. Be careful of developing a high horse. I can understand where 7s are coming from, because I have been a number 7. My first pinnacle is number 7, which is the first 31 years of my life. I've been a number 7 energetically, primarily. That's what shows in my chart. And so I understand needing time alone to think, because you're coming up with really deep, important answers for all of humanity, psychological fixes for, and you are really, really, really thinking deeper than anyone you know. And that's why you study ancient things, and that's why you study all these interesting things, because there's so much out there, and a lot of people just don't expand their mind. And number sevens, we're interested in expanding our minds, and we crave a lot of experiences. And because we crave so many experiences, we often can suffer a lot. And you know, because we're on that physical plane, sometimes we get too much into the physicality, materialistic things. You know, and you need to balance that with some discipline and some discernment. You know, you need to have self-discipline so you don't go overboard with, you know, with everything. And you need to also get out there from time to time. Don't get too caught up in being alone all the time either. It's all about balance if you want to feel healthy and be healthy. You know, sometimes it's okay to have imbalance in your life if you can take it for a little while and you're really trying to achieve something specific, and you know you're not going to be able to be balanced. That might be okay for a little while, but you're not going to be able to sustain it forever. You know, people do change, and the number will change. Your numbers will change daily, monthly. You know, once you hit 29 or 30 or 31, depending on when your pinnacle changes, you know, then you're going to become a new energy. You know, you might turn into a number 6 or a number 4 or number 3, you know, and that's how these charts go. You're never like the same number forever, but you still have those basic core numbers, you know, like your life path, your destiny, your day number, and your, what the heck's the other one? And your soul urge. Those are your core numbers. Meditate on them. This has been number 7. Hopefully that gave you enough information. I'm sure I got more somewhere in my skull, but I'm going to call it quits because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. So I hope you enjoyed it. Collin Chi, numerologist, certified nutritional consultant. If you want a consultation for nutrition or for numerology, hit me up, collinchi@gmail.com. I'm charging $35 for charts. I charge $20 for an explanation of the chart, but there's a lot already explained on the chart. You know, and I offer 3 different kinds of charts, so hit me up. I can tell you a lot of interesting answers to and help guide you, tell you what personal year you're in, you know, what you need to do this year, not do this year, you know, where you're at in your life. It's all about self-awareness. I can help you remind yourself of who you are. It's a great way to be self-aware. This is ancient knowledge. It comes from Hindu, Arabic. It's very, very old. It became popular in Greece from Pythagoras, but he studied in Egypt. This stuff goes into many cultures, the Chinese, the Babylonians. A lot of them had their own numerical and numerology systems. You know, Jewish language, the Hebrew language, was actually a numerical system. You know, that gets into Kabbalah. You know, this stuff is it's deep, and a lot of ancient cultures believed in it, and you don't need to believe in it once you study it because it's so accurate, it's not even a question anymore. So hit me up, collinchi@gmail.com. I'll put a link below in the description, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Collin Chi. Rise.